much from anywhere because for last thing cause I've been following the only people that I actually follow like is George Knapp and what's his name, the guy that does all the documentaries. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. He's always the George Knapp.
Yeah, they just actually started the weaponized
That one, yeah.
podcast.
Jeremy Corbell.
Yep.
Like them two, I follow them on Twitter, and so they're always posting stuff. So most of my info I get from them. And I mean, I think George Knapp is pretty straightforward. I don't know how you feel about him, but I think he's always been pretty straightforward. Um,
I yeah, I don't know. Like so I mean, as you know, there's been a lot of drama on Twitter and in the community ufology. So I always take everything with with a grain of salt, right? Like you can't just believe everything you hear no matter who it's from because there is money to be made and some of it is just you know some of it might be actual like hey here's some good real information, some of it might be hey this may or may not be interesting but let's make it sound more interesting so that we can get viewership, right? Viewership equals money. um so I don't know. I definitely like I'm not like one to pick a side. I'm more like just observing and take in information from all sides, right? Because I'm guessing the truth is somewhere in the middle, like somewhere, there's you know what I mean? Like it's uh
I mean, truth. Like we don't even know what's true. True. I'm just.
yeah, yeah.
Let's see, cause what is it on TikTok, for example? TikTok is wild, man. I don't know if you use TikTok or not, but like whenever the Chinese balloon thing happened, there's like a million conspiracy theories about what it was, right? Whenever they
hmm
shot down the first one, which was it over Alaska, the first UAP,
No,
whatever, or was it? Oh, it
no,
was
it
off the
was
coast, right?
off the eastern coast of the US.
Okay.
I forgot the exact location. It was like W21. It's like the around the US there's these like they call them warning areas,
Mm-hmm.
and it was warning area like 2021 or 221 or something, but it's basically off the like kind of the middle of the US on the east side and over the water.
Yeah, whenever they said that, I was like, it didn't even cross my mind, like, oh, UFO, you whatever you call them. I was like another Chinese balloon or something, right? But then they started coming out with all these headlines like, oh, unidentified flying object, this and that, and I'm just like, whoa, that's weird that they're like just straight up calling them that, right? And it just,
Yeah, I mean, it's not wrong, right? Like it could be a balloon, it could be a drone, but if you don't know what it is, it's unidentified.
yeah, but
So,
but those are trigger words if you, because you know they're gonna trigger some people, be like aliens, 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 which my mind doesn't go to that, right? Uh,
no.
I mean, to be honest, I think I've said it before on here. I don't think we've been visited, like physically, like beings. Maybe probes, stuff like that, right? Like remote things. Like I don't know, but I don't think they've been here. Well, you never know. They might have been here billions of years ago, but not in our lifetime. I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I said, man. There's times where I go deep, like go in a deep dive, and then it turns out to be nothing, right? So it's like a love hate thing. So
Yeah. No, I hear you. I I always straddle the line between, uh, a believer, an experiencer, and a skeptic, because like I said, I've seen something, but that could have been, or like people like to say, there could have been a prosaic explanation for it. Um, Sometimes I'm like, oh, looking at old texts and like the Anunnaki and um, the Great Flood and all the ancient civilization stuff, and I'm like, yeah, some of that makes sense, and maybe there was like something that happened back then. And sometimes I'm just very skeptical, and I'm like, none of it's true. We're alone in the universe.
Well,
But
I mean, I can say, honestly, I don't think we're alone in the universe. I think that's insane to think that. I think there is some kind of life out there. Now, the thing is, when people say that, what do most people think of their like little green man, they're reptilians. You know the trope. You know they're some
yep.
kind of humanoids, right? But honestly, it could be anything. They might not even be like physical. They might be some kind of gas or an AI, that they transcended into, like they became from, I don't know. It could be anything. It could be something we can't even imagine. But it might just be some worm in some planet that's some tiny ass, I don't know, something. But there's no way, if the universe is as big as it is, that there's nothing else out there.
True. I mean, statistically speaking, we shouldn't be the only ones out there. But at the same time, it could be, right? Like we really don't truly know for sure. So everything is speculative.
Hey man, if
Um,
we're the only things in the universe, that's a very sad thing. That's very sad because if we're the supposedly we're the highest intellect there is out there, if we're the only ones, and I'm not gonna lie, we're pretty stupid as a human race in general.
yeah, but I mean, that gets into the philosophy of life and all that, right? Like, I mean, we're really just genes trying to express themselves, and if you break us down, like, we're really not even, like we're basically protein machines, and the DNA instructs the machinery of our cells to construct proteins, and the proteins kind of, you know, like everything is just like we're kind of like inanimate objects, but at the same time, all these tiny microscopic things make something that is us, a complex being. But I mean, yeah, it's hard. I don't know. It's hard to know for sure if
Mm,
would it really change anything if we were the only ones in the universe? I don't think so. I mean,
I think
I
I
guess,
think it would change some people.
yeah, I guess
I mean,
it depends if you're spiritual or not,
yeah.
maybe. But then again, if you're spiritual, oh, especially if you're religious, then, you know, then we are the only ones, right? Like God created the universe for us, you know.
I think it's
Uh,
on both ends of the spectrum. Like you're like, okay, we're the only ones. Some people are gonna react a certain way, but if like aliens show up tomorrow, no more. Some people are gonna act a different way. So either whatever the truth is, we're gonna react a certain way. That's just the way we are. They're either good or bad, whatever the way we react. So um, let's not get on into the spiritual shit, but let's just get it back into the UFOs that got shot down. Let me ask you, what do you think they are?
probably balloons.
Like the
Most
the
likely,
China ones?
not necessarily. They could
No, not
be,
from
there
China,
could
but
be,
like the same concept, I guess.
yeah, they could be, a lot of colleges and universities do tests. They send up balloons with GoPros and stuff, trying to reach the edge of the stratosphere, capture video from up there, or maybe send up sensors. And then those tend to fall back down and just kind of glide on the air currents. Uh, could even be, I mean, I guess the one thing that um, is interesting about those is, at least the smaller ones, is that they're still as big as a car,
Hmm.
supposedly. And um I mean, they did say they're kind of metallic looking. They could be, made out of, like those birthday party balloons with helium. Those are metallic looking. So I don't know. There's nothing about those specific ones that shout out to me, hey, this is something super strange. Now, the strange thing to me is, why did the government all of a sudden go from not shooting anything down, considering there's been tons of stuff like this since forever, and then all of a sudden go to shooting down like three of them, in such a short time span? That just seems weird to me, I think.
I don't think they're UFO, like alien UFOs. It's
Non-human
yeah,
intelligence.
and another, like, and yeah, I don't think it's any of that. I think it's like you said, some kind of whether it's balloons or some other country sending spy, whatever they have. But the thing that, like you said, the thing that is interesting, why are they going all out on going out of their way to be like, we don't know what it is, we're not ruling out anything, we can't find the whatever the recovery efforts, we can't find any of the parts, and I'm like, they're trying really hard to be vague, and people are getting the like, oh, they're talking about aliens, they can't. But let's be honest, if they were out of this earth, you weren't going to shoot them down.
Yeah.
If they were able to travel the distances that they travel to get here, our technology is not going to be able to do anything to them. So
Yeah.
let's be realistic. I mean,
But if you look at the history and of stories being told, they're, if you believe them, of course, because they've tried shooting down UFOs before, supposedly, and they've been unable to do anything to them,
yeah,
right? So, like you said, if it really was advanced technology, I doubt you would be able to harm them.
like that. What was that? The Battle of Los Angeles, not the movie.
No, yeah,
The
the
one with
event.
the event. That was pretty interesting. They did fire on something, and yeah, man, I don't know. It's strange because I'm like a person that's deep into the lore as much as I have or been or you've been. We kind of have an not that we're right or wrong. We don't know, but like you would think, like if they were able to travel light years, they're gonna be shot down by some rockets from these apes. Technically, we're just animals. If anything, we're just barely getting into the. I don't know. It's strange. So one thing to get like into conspiracies,
Yeah,
into
conspiratorial.
yeah, and to get into the fun stuff, because they say, oh, it's not China's, it's not nobody's, right? You've heard of the breakaway civilization, and what I like the only thing that I would think would be pretty interesting is they were finally this civilization that's been growing alongside this planet. They're here, but they're like underground. They're not really a country. They're just a group of people. They finally were able to like back engineer something, right? And that's probably why we're getting all these sightings. They're finally getting them up in the air, and that's why nobody knows what they are because they're not from another country. They're from this civilization, and I mean, I'm not saying that's the real thing, but I mean, it could be something like that if you want to get into the craziness.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense to you, I just
Yeah. No, I mean, there's definitely, I mean, there's the story of the pilot that flew into like a cave or something, and I can't remember if it was, and I think it was in Antarctica or,
yeah, Admiral Bird.
uh, yeah, that I don't remember, but that sounds right. Where supposedly, there's a whole other world underneath the ground, right?
Yeah,
Like,
they have his
um,
interviews on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube where he talks about it.
okay, yep. Yeah, I think I may have, I think I saw a video of it on the Wi-Files,
Mm-hmm.
which is a great YouTube channel that I watch. But um, yeah, basically, like, there could be advanced civilizations living underground, and I don't know if have you seen that the what is it called? Not Ancient Aliens, but it's the video about like the ancient civilizations that, and how like the pyramids are actually older than what we think they are, and how
Yeah.
there was all,
I mean,
there's
I've heard all those things, theories, and all that, but I don't think I can't. I don't know where I saw it. I can't remember where I've heard them talk about it. Yeah, like
okay.
they talk about also like the Egyptians weren't the ones that built the pyramids. Like they were
Y-
there when they got there or something like that, right?
Yeah, yep, yeah, because according to history books, they're roughly 5,000 years old, but according to people that have really looked into it, like the pyramids might actually be closer to 12,000 years old.
Yeah.
And around that same time, there's also I can't remember the name of it. It's something Tepe. Uh,
I know what you're talking about.
Gobekli Tepe.
Gobekli Tepe, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep, which is about 12,000 years old. And there's things all over the earth that are from that time frame, and they're all like these structures that are like, how did they build them? They didn't have the technology. And I think in Gobekli Tepe, they even like there's stories about like there were giants that helped build it or something like that. You got stuff like Easter Island. There's all this crazy stuff, and it's possible. What if there was this greater civilization back then, and then there was some huge catastrophe? Only a few of the people from these bigger civilizations survived, and like let's say that sets us back. So
I mean,
now we're
technically there was. I mean, you had the Ice Age. We don't know how. I mean, we only know what we find on the ground, right? So they might have been something else before that that got completely wiped out. Like the example, like everybody was talking about Atlantis. Atlantis, this you never know. That might have been an actual city where people, where humans were more advanced than we give them props.
Mhm.
So it's interesting. Yeah, the whole pyramid thing, man. I heard this. I think it was on Joe Rogan, which he had the guy talking about the pyramids and how they're older, and it got me like real interested into the pyramids because not just the
Mhm.
pyramids in Egypt. They have pyramids in Mexico
Oh yeah. Yep. Oh.
and all over the world. And I'm just like, from my mind, maybe there's I haven't read too much into it, but like, how did so many civilizations get the same idea, the same concept? Like
Mhm.
build pyramids. Like, how do you like? You're telling me the person in Mexico was thinking the same thing a person in Egypt was. Like, how does that work?
Yep.
And the records don't show that they ever met or they ever traveled. So maybe they did. We don't even know. But I'm like, it's a lot. Like, I don't believe the Egyptians built the pyramids. From what I've been hearing, and just the people in the past few years been doing research, like the like you said, the age of the rocks and the stones and all that.
Mhm. The water, like the way the water erosion patterns.
On the stones,
Um.
yeah, and then just the way they were explaining what the stones are, and then they're like, well, the closest quarry that have these stones are like 200 miles away, and this stone weighs 2 tons. How did they get it from there to here? And not just one of them. They have it's just it's. I mean, you start thinking about it, you're like, it makes no sense what we learned growing up, that oh yeah, they had a bunch of slaves and they just pushed it.
Yeah. Well, so kind of bring us back to the UFO phenomenon, right? So imagine there were all these civilizations that fairly advanced, Atlantis and Lemurians, etc., spread out throughout the world, and there was this big catastrophe, a big tsunami that wiped out everything. Which, by the way, you know, the Eye of the Sahara is considered to be potentially where Atlantis was. And if you look at the Sahara Desert, all that sand looks like it was put there by water during this great tsunami, so that all that sand could have been, under the ocean and then got put there. But either way, there's this huge catastrophe. Some of those people survived though, and some of those people maybe went into hiding, maybe went into caves, right? Because the Earth could have been inhospitable for a while, and maybe that can lead to this kind of, like you said, it's like a tearaway civilization, right? They developed separately, maybe underground in caves or somewhere, while whoever remained above ground, survived and hunted and through the ice ages and all that, and we developed separately. And what if they had, because they already came from advanced civilization, they're probably hundreds of years more advanced than us, and so these these UFOs could just be probes that they're sending out to see, like, what are the people above ground doing to the planet. So yeah, it could just be that they're basically, technology that belongs to a different branch of humanity that kind of split a long time ago. you know
Yeah, I mean
so
that's if you don't want to go with aliens, you can. That's a another good route to go. It's like I said, man. We don't know. Like and at the end of the day, it could be nothing. And like you were saying, the government might just be trying to rile everybody up so they can get some kind of funding to start their own, so they can get more funding into Space Force or whatever, some shit they want to start. So
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's more of the route that it's what's really going on. They're using like keywords that are making people obviously like, oh, they're talking about aliens, they're talking about UFOs, where they get everybody riled up, and then they're like, well, we're gonna start investing more in whatever. I don't know. It's not aliens. I can say that for sure, man. It's not no ETs coming from nowhere. There's no way, man. I don't. I, I like I said, I've been doing this too long, man. I'm not trying to get my hopes up. So I'm thinking this it's the simplest explanation. I wish it wasn't. I wish it was. They actually found something, but even if I think if they did, they wouldn't be this open about it.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Again, I can't choose a side because I think there's too much interesting facts and maybe not facts like stories. So that it could be a mixture of a lot of things. What if let's go with the space aliens angle. What if there are aliens? What if the government did make a pact with them? What if they live in the moon, right? Supposedly the moon is hollow, and there might be bases on the dark side of the moon, or there's all these stories. And let's say some of the like let's say those two smaller things they shot down were actual UFO technology, or I should say non-human intelligence technology, and they purposefully set it up so that they could shoot them down in order to kind of get closer to the disclosure, right? Like kind of get people used to the idea. What if it is aliens? And then eventually they're gonna say, well, here's the truth. There are aliens, but people are already used to it, so they're not gonna freak out. Because you know, supposedly, like, some of the stories are that the government does know there's aliens and they don't want to say anything because people will freak out. That I could totally imagine mass suicides and you know, especially amongst religious people that, they have their whole reality is based on their religion, and if you break that, you break them, and all of a sudden they don't know they what I mean? Like their whole world just crumbles. And so I could see the danger in potentially revealing something like that.
Hmm. Well, I mean, honestly, dude,
Yeah.
if they were to reveal like, oh, we know we've known about these aliens, my reaction would be like, not only is that crazy, I mean, it'd probably be a little scary, but like it opens up so many possibilities because you start thinking, okay, so how long have they been around? Like, how far do they live? Like, how do they stay alive? Like, it's just like there's so many questions you can like. I don't know. It just seems for me. I think it would be more positive than negative if they were come out and be like, oh, in the long run, obviously, not right then and there. In the long run, it'd be more positive than negative, I think. But like you said, you are right. A lot of people would have panic attacks, and people do crazy stuff when normal things happen. I can't imagine when something like that would happen. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean even some of the like the scrolls they found, right? The Vatican keeps stuff secret because it would change the narrative around religion, and they don't want to, like if you introduce doubt into what may or may not have actually happened, and then all of a sudden all these people that are religious may start to like waver in their faith, and it could crumble what religion has set up, around the world, right? And in a similar way, it could be like that for just the whole alien thing, right? Like it would potentially change, just the way people think about everything in such a grand way that their minds may not be able to handle it. I think if you're open-minded, you're probably fine. But even still, like I feel like if they announce that aliens are real, I would I'd probably feel like a sense of excitement, panic, and fear all at once, right? It's just gonna be like a mixed bag of emotions.
Yeah, I just be like, what's next? What's next? Like, what's gonna happen next? Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, if I mean, would anybody even go back to work or anything?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the world literally would stop. Like, not obviously, but I'm talking about like everybody. Like, I don't know, man. It's crazy. But like I said, I mean, I don't think these are actual UFO aliens, whatever. But it is interesting the way they're going about it. You know, talking about it on like they're making press conferences and not just that, man. You see the whole all the other shit that's happening, like the Chernobyl Part 2 over there in Ohio, and all these chemical spills, and I'm just like, are they just trying to cover up for all that? And
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I said, you go on TikTok. TikTok is bad for. Not that I believe everything that's on there, but you can put type one thing like UFO crashes, and it'll take you on like like a trip. You'll go, ends up being, oh, it's Illuminati, it's aliens, it's the devil, it's this, it's that, and oh, they're covering up for this, and sadly, man, a lot of people believe that stuff, and it's kind of scary because uh, I don't know, man. It's
Yeah.
the more logical thing. It's just they know. I think they know. They just don't want to go out and be like, oh, it was one of ours, or it was some stupid, or I don't know, man. There's gotta be a reason why. I just don't know what the reason is. They're going about it the way they are. The
I
government.
mean, okay, even talk about like for sure, the first thing they shot down was for sure a Chinese balloon with surveillance payload, right? Admitting that you don't know what it is, or you have an idea it's Chinese technology, but you don't know how to detect it and stuff. It's like you're revealing like, oh, we've failed as a nation to keep our country safe, right? And so they don't necessarily want to admit to that. And so like if they all of a sudden started revealing like, oh yeah, we we've known what these things are for the last 20 years, and we know it's Chinese technology, and unfortunately our technology is not good enough to detect it or to bring them down, then that's just kind of sad, right? Like they don't I don't think they would want to reveal that because it would make it seem like they're incompetent. So I mean, so there could be that too, right? Um,
Yeah.
Maybe it's all terrestrial technology, and it's just that another country has gotten way more advanced than us, and we're falling behind.
I mean, like all the other stories, like the Commander Fravor and the stories he had about the following that the Tic Tac and all that. I mean, stuff like that. I'm just like, it can't be another country because if it was another country, they would already be using it. You know, there's no country that's gonna have this technology that's so advanced and not use it to propel them to be like the strongest country, right? So whenever you see stuff like that, I'm just like, that can't be China. It's not the United States. It's not Russia's. Who else would it be? It's not Japan's. It's not like it's
But
I
but
mean,
what if multiple countries have technology that's so advanced and no one wants to show their cards, right?
but I mean,
Like,
I don't think they would hold if it's gonna benefit them in the long run. They're gonna be using that stuff. Whether I'm not saying in in the public, but like military in their military or their black ops shit, they're gonna be using that stuff. They're not gonna keep it hidden because it's not benefiting them. You know.
yeah, I mean, you know, again, like, because imagine this scenario. Um, like China develops this crazy technology they think it's way more advanced than ours. And they send some drones to fly around the US to gather information. People detect it as UFOs, whatever. Um, and you would think, okay, well, they have this technology, they might take it to attack us and take over. But then all of a sudden they have weird stuff flying in their airspace that they can't identify, and their people are saying aliens. Well, okay, maybe they suspect, oh, maybe that's US technology. Okay, shit, they have the same stuff we do. Or maybe even better. Or what other stuff might they have that we don't? And so there's like this secretive arms race, and in the meantime, because general population is like, oh, it's UFOs, whatever. The governments just go with it because that's a good way to keep the real truth secret. Like up until this point, right? What is the thing we fear the most? Like nuclear war, right? But what if there's like stuff way more dangerous, way more crazy than that?
Like
You don't want
time
to
travel.
time travel. Yeah, that would be a big one. But but maybe something, like akin to what we think of alien technology, something that can, you know, go to space, air, and water, can maybe like travel through any barrier, be completely undetectable, whatever. Like, eh, you know,
I mean,
but if it,
another route that we can also go down, which it'd be very interesting. You know, back in the day, there'd be a lot of cases where not like we didn't shoot down the UFO, it would crash or whatever, like the Roswell or whatever, or where's another, a few of there's other stories where a UFO has crashed and the government's recovered, and they have in possession whatever craft that is, right? Do you think, and I'm talking about like in the early 50s, 40s, 30s, right? You
yep,
think since then to now, maybe now they're finally being able to back engineer some of that stuff, and maybe that's what's flying out there. It's us back engineering, taking us 70, 80 years just to figure out how it works, and maybe we're finally getting, not like, maybe it is like like, what is it? It's not like I say, if there is a craft that's been recovered, it's not under the government's possession. It's like, what do they say? Like they have companies working on this shit. They like aerospace and all that other crap. They don't have, the government's not working on these things. They
yeah, they have contractors, right? Because
contractors, yeah,
then
private contractors working
because
on this
then you
stuff.
could keep it
But it's
completely
secret.
secret,
Yeah,
off the book kind of stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
So
mean, supposedly there are, several companies that potentially are working on technology like that, if that's to be believed, right? Including that company that Travis Taylor works for. I forgot the name of it. Um, but it's a bunch of people that are known in the UFO community, but they have, I don't know. There's definitely, again, there's that's why I can't choose to be completely on one side or the other, because every narrative has a good amount of information that could potentially be true, and kind of makes it veer towards that direction. So if there really were recovered crafts, let's say um ancient artifacts, right? They were digging in Egypt and they found a UFO or something, and they researched it, they started researching it. Um I mean, that still brings up the question, are they actually extraterrestrial, or are they just is it just technology from the ancient civilizations that lived here before us? Who knows?
there's so many routes you can take this. It's and like I said, they could all be wrong, and it could just be some random balloon, like you said. But it just takes one where it's like, oh, it was a UFO or whatever. And I don't know, man. Like it's, I just think it's interesting the way they've been talking about it on the news, especially, and in the coverage. They're like, we don't know what it is, and I think today they were like, we can't. It's gonna take forever to recover the wreckage, and I'm just like, are they just gonna try to gloss over it and be like, people forget about it in a week or two, and then they won't
Could
talk
be.
about it? So
Well, like one thought I had is, what if they were non-human intelligent things, right? Like actual UFOs from space, and they shot them down, thinking they were maybe like spy balloons, and maybe they already recovered it, and they're like, oh crap, this is not human. And of course they're gonna say they didn't find anything. They're probably gonna want to keep it under wraps, right? So
yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't have no idea. Like, 'cause I'm trying to be skeptical because of like we've, like I said, it gets to a point where they start talking about it, like, oh, it's building up. They're gonna have disclosures coming, and then guess what? Nothing happens, and then you're just back to the bottom floor, and it's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I'm not getting my hopes
But
up. If it's aliens, awesome, let's go. But if it's not, I'm like, I figured.
yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, it's good to have kind of a skeptic's mind in this because you don't want to get sucked into the I guess the mob mentality of it all and kind of lose sight of what's real and what's not because again there's so many like videos online and stuff that look real and they're a lot of it is CG technology is people on TikTok like you can make videos directly on your phone that have special effects that look you know super advanced that stuff that you wouldn't have been able to do a few years back unless you worked at a graphics firm for movies or something. Technology has just advanced so much in the last few years.
Yeah, and video nowadays, it's if somebody has video of a UFO, I'm just like, yeah, I don't. There's, like I said, they can create that with anybody can create that nowadays.
Hmm.
I don't know, man. I don't know what is it gonna take? Like, what do you think is something? What is one thing that could happen that would make everybody be like, oh shit, those are aliens or whatever? Besides them invading, obviously, but if that was the case, they would have done it a long time ago. I think.
Yeah. I mean, like, what would it take to convince me that they're real?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
guess.
kind
Yeah,
of
let's
the
go.
question?
Yeah, convince you like something.
Having my own experience that is completely um impossible to explain otherwise.
You want to get probed?
No, not necessarily. No, but like let's say, let's say I'm out there and I see something that with my own eyes, like if I see a craft and I see it do stuff that I know is physically impossible. Like if I saw like a ship and then I saw it like literally like disappear and appear, a mile away in an instant, completely like from 0 to 1 mile away in a blink of a second or a blink of an eye, like something like that. If I saw that with my own eyes, I would probably be more of a believer. Uh, I'd probably. I mean, I guess there would still be a little bit of doubt. Like, could we have unlocked some secret physics and have come up with this on our own, right? Because you got to think if there are aliens and they discovered technology to do this, then we should be able to as well, right?
Not in our lifetime. I don't think.
Maybe, maybe not. With the advent of AI and the way it's exponentially growing in what it knows, I mean, I can easily see like AI discovering things about the physical world that we just never had any inkling of figuring out, right? Like all of a sudden they find that, oh, if you combine these elements together, you can actually produce this new thing that produces infinite amount of energy or something. I don't know. I
The,
feel like it.
the only
Oh,
thing I
go ahead.
see, no, my bad. The only thing I see, like, let's say you're talking about like space travel, right, to like another planet or whatever. Like, let's say that, like, humans in our present form, our bodies aren't meant. We expire in 80s, 70s, in whatever years. Our bodies are gonna decay and stuff. So there's no way we're traveling millions of light years away. If anything, we're gonna create something like a probe, you know, send it out and get information back. Which unless, because that's why I see if there are aliens coming here, it's not a physical being, It's either a probe or some kind of AI, or they've been able to find a way to bend space and time all together.
Yeah. Um, think of it this way. What if you had the technology similar to, and I know that, this kind of goes into gray area territory, right? Uh, Bob Lazar, right? He talked about this other form of gravity, I guess. In one of his old videos, basically, he was describing how the UFO technology works and goes into detail about it. But either way, let's say you had this material and you can activate it, and it actually could warp space-time around it so that you could have kind of like a pocket universe, if you will, that is unaffected by the surrounding universe. Um, you could, if that was true, you could accelerate to speeds above the speed of light without feeling any inertia inside of that bubble. Like so you wouldn't, your body wouldn't explode as you accelerate to, you know, 100 million times the speed of light. And you could, if the physics, the way it was explained, is correct, you would be able to do all of that without actually breaking the speed of light. Because what you're doing is you're not. It's kind of like black holes, right? You can get from point A to point B instantaneously without breaking the speed of light because you're not traversing through the medium of space time. You're literally warping space time around you. And I think if that technology is possible, then you could travel hundreds of millions of light years in like a couple of days, maybe, or instantaneously even, without, you know, feeling any of the ill effects of traveling that fast.
Now, yeah, you said Bob Lazar. Um, that like I said, let's. I believe. I mean, I don't know. Bob Lazar. It seems like pretty legit what he says. From I mean, he might be lying. Who fucking knows? But I believe him. And do you think if what he was talking about was true about back engineering stuff back when was it, in the 70s?
I don't remember exactly, but
But whatever it was
something like
like
that.
yeah.
Yep.
So I'm like, if they actually got that equipment or whatever the ship there, and they've been working on it. He said they that some of it was like ancient, like he said that it was like from an archaeological dig, right? So we don't know
Hmm.
when exactly they got it originally. How long do you think it would take for us to be able to back engineer something like that and use it?
Well, it would all come down to material sciences, right? Let's say let's say the technology is using some type of holographic metamaterial for the circuitry. We wouldn't even be able to start looking at it until we got to the point where we could build telescope or not telescopes, microscopes, with the right technology in order to analyze it. So like, so that there'd be the issue of like you know how can you even begin to reverse engineer it or back engineer it? I, I don't know. As a software developer, reverse engineering is the term I use. Um, but yeah, how can you even begin to do that if you don't even really understand what you're looking at and don't have the tools to start looking into it? So first you have to wait for technology to get advanced enough, right? Scanning electron microscopes and, you know, advanced laser technology to maybe like be able to interact with some of that stuff at the microscopic level. Quantum computers to be able to understand the potentially the software that it's written in or whatever, right? Like it takes first our discovery of advanced technology on our own before we can even begin to try to understand this technology that's, you know, potentially millions of years more advanced than ours.
We might. I'm not a scientist. I don't fucking know, but like they might understand how it works, but like you said, we might not have the proper materials to make it work, right? Like the metals, whatever they use. But
Yeah,
if
the manufacturing capabilities, right?
yeah, so I mean, I don't know, and it's a lot of ifs or
Yeah.
but I mean, but like we were gonna. This thing was about the shot down things they were shooting down. Um, I mean, like I said, have they said anything else besides just the fact that they've shot them down and and they haven't recovered anything
I
as
I
of
have
today.
yeah, I haven't had too much time to look into it today. The things I keep seeing popping up is about government officials, including the president, saying, "Hey, we should actually start paying attention to UAP." So there's at least that, right? Um, eh, Whether it's real or just an illusion, like it could be like all a psyops mission, but at least it seems like the government's finally like, yeah, we really should start looking into this stuff. Like, we should we yeah, they're taking it more serious. Now, whether that's like a real thing, right? Or whether it's like somehow related to some sort of cover up or way of like, funneling research money into other black ops stuff. Who knows, right? But at least they're admitting that there are things that they don't understand, and you know and I guess that opens it up to the possibility of, oh, maybe there are extraterrestrials. Who knows?
Yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting because I promise you, I'm betting that they're gonna let it play out, and then the news cycle is gonna keep going. They're not gonna talk about it. People are gonna sweep it under the rug, and they're not gonna talk about it anymore. They're not gonna talk about the recoveries, nothing. They're just gonna move on with it. I think that's what's gonna happen. I don't think anything else is gonna come out of it.
I, I think we've gotten to the point though where at least the media is asking the right questions, right? Like that they're not. If you look at a lot of the news conferences that have been released, right? Like the reporters are asking, like, "Hey, how does this relate to UAP?" I- So I feel like I feel like this year is going to be the most important year in ufology. Whether that ends up being that we find out that it's all BS and not real, or that there actually is stuff, but I feel like this year is going to be a big year. Um, and who knows, like, if you truly believe in George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell, their weaponized podcast, supposedly they're starting to release stuff that's never been released before. Stuff, you know, there was that bill that passed about the, kind of like have some protection for whistleblowing, kind of. A lot more people are feeling brave to talk about stuff that they've seen while working for the government. And so I feel like, again, whether it's real or maybe just all fake, in one way or another, we're getting more things released to the public this year, and that's kind of exciting, just to see what comes of it. But there's always going to be that thought: is it real, or is it just psyops in one way or another? And
I don't know, man.
that I don't know.
Yeah, the thing that gets me about people like I like George Knapp and them. I mean, I haven't like I they're cool and all, but also what stresses me out and annoys me is they'll have a conversation with somebody, right? And they're like, "This is out in the public, but you should see what we have, and we can't release to the public." And I'm just like, "What is that? Like, do you have a picture? Do you have a video of you holding hands with an alien or something? Like, why can't you release it?" I'm like, "Oh, it's because it's classified." I'm like, if you have the smoking gun and you release that, the aftermath of all that what happens after that, I'm sure you getting in trouble is the least of their worries.
Um,
But they always have some kind of like, "Oh, you should see what I have. I can't show you, but you would be a believer." And I'm just like, that makes me so mad because I'm just like, we all want to see that shit.
yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it there are cases of people that had really good information that were about to talk about it, and then they ended up dead, right? So, you know, if you are a journalist, you have to have that integrity of keeping, if someone says they don't want it to go public yet, you don't want to break that trust because otherwise no one's going to come with you with information. Now, on the flip side, like I said, because of the, I think it was called the NDAA or something. Um, but because of that, I, these people have a little bit more protection, and I feel like a lot more people are coming forward with their stories and maybe with evidence, whether that's photographic or video. And I think this is the year where some of that's going to come out. Supposedly, in the last weaponized podcast, they said that they're going to come out with more stuff in the next one, I think, or pretty soon. Um, I think he said photographic or maybe video. I can't remember. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is an exciting time for ufology and potentially getting more info out there.
But remember, we have been let down before, so don't get your hopes too high.
Oh yeah, true.
I mean, it's exciting. I mean, everybody's more open about the subject. That's true. But like, to like, what's the reasoning behind that? Like especially for the government and like agencies, like, why are you more open about it? Like, what's the difference between yet today and like 2 years ago or 3 years ago? Like, there's really nothing. They're not. We don't see that. We still don't see UFOs in the air. It's not like they're. Oh, it's because people are seeing them more often. I'm like, no. There's something behind that. And like I said, I don't know what it is, but if more stuff gets released and it's actually legit, then I'm all for it. You know.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. Um, like, and I guess it's if something does get released and confirmed by the government, can it still be trusted to be real, right? Or could it have been such a good fake that it tricked the government, right? Um,
Yeah. I mean, I think regardless whether it's real or not, there's gonna be some people who are gonna be like, no matter what they release, they're always gonna be like skeptical, be like, oh, that's not real. That's not real. So I mean, it's those people are out there regardless.
yep. So let me ask you this, I guess. Like if it got revealed, let's do a two-parter. If it got revealed that it was all fake and there's nothing to it, there's no such thing as extraterrestrials, how would you feel about that?
I mean, I would be in the same spot I am now. I mean, nothing,
Okay.
nothing would change for me except I have to
Yep.
find a new hobby.
And then now on the flip side, if all of a sudden it was revealed that extraterrestrials are real and like there's hard evidence, smoking gun evidence, how would that make you feel?
I mean, honestly, dude, the first thing I would be worried about is like what's like like what's next? Like, so what's gonna happen? Like, are they good? Are they bad? Friendly? I don't know, man. I guess we just going with what we like our nature, human nature is like. Whenever, let's go back to like whenever people came to the Americas, right? What did they do? They would try to conquer their land, conquer people, take over, whatever. Like, are they the same as us? Are they here to teach? Are they here to take over? Like, stuff like that. And not just that, you've been indoctrinated by all these movies in Hollywood that show you like, oh, these aliens come, they're gonna take over, right? So you already have stuff in your mind, like set in your mind that like this is what's gonna happen. So, and unless, I mean, I would be worried. I mean, I'd be a little scared, but also if nothing happens, I'd be excited because it just opens up so many possibilities.
Yeah. For me, I if it turns out to be complete BS, a part of me will just be a little bit disappointed, but like you, mostly unaffected. Um, if it turns out to be true, I think yeah, my my first thought is if this is true, what else is true? Are there actually
Yes,
are
sir.
are ghosts real? Are demons real? Um, uh,
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, if one if one of these things that we that conspiracize or whatever, is that even the word, about, if 1% of those things is true, then everything else must, like, there's a chance that everything else is true. Like if Bigfoot is real, then you know what, the Loch Ness monster is real too. Aliens are real too. Whatever, you know. So like I said, it takes one thing to show you that if it's real, then like you said, exactly what you said. Like what else? Like I said, it opens up so many possibilities.
Hmm. Yeah. I hope though that if if aliens are real, that they come in peace and hopefully are here to teach us and get us up, level us up in terms of a global civilization. Maybe there are hundreds of different extraterrestrial, you know, beings from different places in the universe, and maybe there's like uh, a club of, hey, you're sophisticated and advanced enough to join our club and get to know about all the rest of us, and hopefully they're here to kind of teach us to get to that level, and hopefully that unlocks you know incredible technology to get rid of the suffering and pain that we have to go through as humans, right?
I mean, honestly, dude, I think the transition period between not knowing and then finding out that there's alien life, it's gonna be a hell. Like you said, people are gonna have riots, people are gonna kill themselves, there's gonna be all kinds of shit. But once that process, like, people start like calming down and stuff, then you get to the real, like, why are they here? Like, what's the point? Like then be interesting. But it would be, I think it would be real rough, that transition period between not knowing and then all of a sudden, oh, you guys aren't the only ones, the only thing in this universe. You know, it would be a rough transition period, I think.
Yeah, I could totally see it taking on the form of a like kind of a apocalyptic scenario, right? People freaking out, everyone's trying to buy everything at the stores, people, like arming themselves
that's that's the
to all
funniest thing
hell
to
and
me. Like, these people traveled billions of light years, and oh, we have to get all these bullets to protect ourselves. I'm like, you think that's gonna stop them if they want to do harm to you? You think that's gonna stop them? I thought
yeah,
that's the funniest thing to me, man.
it's like a War of the Worlds, like the way the how easily those ships just obliterate people.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Dust.
I think it's hilarious to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's our human nature, man. That's what we're gonna, especially in the United States. That's the first thing people are gonna be like, we gotta get our weapons. And I'm like, yeah, well, good
Hmm.
luck shooting these things down with bullets.
Yeah. People would try it though.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. That's what I'm saying. The transition period would be insane.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I almost feel like that would be the scariest part of it is how will other humans behave?
But I mean, I guess we can come to a conclusion that these shot down unidentified objects are not aliens, as far as we can guess today at this moment.
Yeah, based on just the information that's out there, I I don't feel like they're anything special because they were not moving fast. I don't even think these were maneuverable. They're just gliding in the airstreams.
Yeah,
And also I feel like if it was alien technology, I don't think they would be able to shoot him down that easily unless it was on purpose. Like I said, like,
they let themselves do it.
yeah,
Yeah,
like I said, what if the government is in cahoots with the aliens and they're trying to find a way to
disclose.
disclose it, and they need something to push the story forward.
That works for me too, man. If that's the case, let's go with that too. I'm fine with that too. But like I said, it's a cool story. I'm glad that they're being more open about it, like the news and all that. They're actually talking about the subject, and not in a joking manner, like more serious, a little bit more serious than they used to. So that's a positive, at least.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see where we go from there, man. So, but yeah, man, I'll let you go. I know you got things to do. You're a busy man,
Yep.
but I appreciate it.
Hi.
I'll let you know when I post it, and we'll see when we do the next one, man.
Hi. Yeah, sounds great.
All right, man. Thank you, cuz.
Hmm. Talk to you later.
Later.
Bye.